so now we've got our schema, and we're going to eventually work towards trying some having queries, but we need to build this database. And so I'm just going to code that out here. And the first thing I'm going to do is create database, and it's going to be called musicians. I'm just going to scroll that down and then scroll down a little bit more, and then bring this, and then bring this up. Cool. And so we'll call this, what do we call it? Musicians. Musicians. And then we're going to change into that database, right? And then we're going to create table musicians. I might have a problem, so I'm going to change this to bands database. I'm going to call it band. I'm going to call it music database because I don't want to have like different. I don't want to have the database called musicians and table called musicians, just because. And then I'm going to have musician ID, and that'll be an int primary key, not null. And I'm going to have musician name, and that'll be text. So data type, and then constraints, text, and not null. And then that's that on that one. And I'm going to insert into musicians values, and I need some values here. So Dave, Mustang. And then 2 is Steven Tyler, and 3 is somebody give me a musician. Sam Smith, you said? Mm-hmm. You could tell I'm. And 4 is, who's that? Sarah McLachlan.
Bono.
Okay, there we go. We're showing our age. And
Miller.
we're showing our age. Those are all people I know, I've heard of. Cool, so we've done with musicians. And then we're going to do bands. So create table bands. And it's going to be band ID, which is going to be an int primary key, not null. And we're going to have bname, and it's going to be text, not null. And we're going to insert into bands. It's going to be values, and it's going to be 1 Aerosmith, and 2 U2, US, U2, whatever. And 3, it'll be
Ghost.
never heard of him.
The band.
4 will be oh, we could have done Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
E Street. 5 will be
I don't know.
we'll do Metallica. And 6 will be, why can't I think of bands?
I'll look it up.
Megadeth is great. Cool. And we need to add in here 7 Bruce Springsteen. All right, and then we'll create table. And we're going to do band members. And that's going to be BM ID, int primary key, not null. And we're going to have MID, int references, musicians. I think I'm doing that wrong. Is that right? How's references work? int references items and then the thing. So I need musicians, MID, that's it. Int references, there we go.
You have one too many
And
references.
not null.
Oh,
Thank you.
and then
And I'm just checking that.
semicolon.
I don't have not null on any of those. We'll see if that works. I think that's fine.
Semicolon.
And I need one more though. I need Oh, I'm all the way at the end. Cool. And then we have last we have the musicians and we have the band ID. And so BID, and maybe I should put these in order so that they match our schema. Schema. So that'll be band ID, int references, bands, BID. All right, so we have BMID, int primary key not null, BID references bands, BID, MID, int references musicians, MID, and we'll put this one not null, just to match that one. And then we're going to insert into band members values, and we'll have 1, comma, or we'll have comma, and some value, and we'll just copy that a couple times. And so then we'll have, this is just going to increment up. And then we'll have band member, or band ID. We're just going to do the first 5. So there'll be some bands with nobody. And then we'll do the band members, and again, we'll just do the first 5, but we'll also include Bono. No 6. We'll include Bruce Springsteen, sorry. And then we'll go back. We're skipping 5. We're skipping 6. Bruce Springsteen's just because. All right, so there are our values. So we've got that first 3 things done. And then the next thing we want to do is create styles. I'm creating styles before band styles because I want to reference it. Create table styles. And it's going to be SID, int primary key not null, and SName, text not null. And then we're going to insert into styles values, and it's going to be something with text. And those will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have jazz, we have metal, we have rock, we have country, and we have pop. And then I'm going to create table band styles. And that's going to be BSID, int primary key not null, and it's going to be BID, int references bands, BID not null, and it's going to be SID, int references styles, SID not null. And then we're going to insert into band styles values, and it's going to be 3 numbers. And those are going to sequentially increment for the primary key. And then we're going to have band styles will be band ID. So we have band ID, bands, 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 bands. We have 6 bands. I'll use 1 through 5. So we have, some bands that aren't being used for anything. And then we have SID, styles ID. And I'll use 1. And styles we have 5, and I'll use 1 through. How many? Yeah, let me add one more style. 6 will be, what's a banjo folk? That's what I was thinking. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3. All right, so there we've created all of our tables and populated them and left some outliers, and we're ready to do queries. But first I'm going to drop this all in and just make sure it works. So oh, because I called it music. Cool, so it all works. So I'm going to take all this and paste it into our notes. But before I do that, we're going to build some queries and things. So I'll paste it all at once. And if we look now, look at our tables. We've got those tables, right? And they've all been populated like chop, 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 chop. That's pretty good. How many people that was helpful to you? See the schema, see how to bust out all the tables, how to populate all the tables. And now we're set to kind of create our own examples to understand the textbook, because the textbook's confusing. So how do we break it down and make it more simple? Right? Like, why the heck do you have all those fields in there? Break it down to the bare minimum so we can see what's going on. All right, so that's what we're going to do next.